here's why the stormwater, because it's there to retain water in the event of floods. So
But
we do on a frequency when it gets down, we cut it. We don't cut it to the same standards as a golf course. No one else complains about stuff.
Well, I know, and I send them photos. And I'm like, you made this beautiful.
Yeah, I said, if you want to maintain to another level, I think you need to kind of finish your put more money in the budget if they think that's important. If nobody else does. So we can talk offline. whatever you want to.
Good afternoon, everyone. Happy New Year. And the hour being 5:30, I will now call the Public Works and Service Committee meeting to order for Tuesday, January 10th, 2023. Mr. Pritzoff, would you call the roll, please?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Alder Jones,
Present.
Alder Land,
Here.
Alder Paffrath,
Here.
Alder Sebastian,
Present.
and Alder Perez. Present.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from our November 29th, 2022 meeting.
Second.
It's been motion and second to approve the minutes from November 29th. Any questions, corrections, comments? If not, all those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. First item on the agenda is 0015-23, communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of Mr. Povaki, sign company, requesting a stationary projecting sign overhang encroachment for a business located at 500 Main Street. Staff recommendation that the property owner at 500 Main Street be granted permission to install a stationary projecting sign over the city right of way with with stipulations that a hold harmless agreement be executed and a $150 processing fee paid in accordance with state statute 66.0425 privileges in street. Fiscal note, there will be no cost to the city of Racine. And we have with us Mr. Jeff Hintz to speak on this item.
Good evening, thank you. I'm not the sign company, of course, but I'm here on their behalf with city development. This did go through the planning here to the design commission. Zoning wise, this complies with all the requirements. It did pass the design commission, which Alder Jones listed on in terms of design of it. If you think about that building, it's the hotel ordinance. There's nowhere to put a sign on that building unless it's kind of a boring, flat sign. They want something with some projection, some depth. The only way to achieve that here is to project over the right of way due to how the building is built. So there's one on the Monument Square side that will project over for the restaurants, Marguerite in there, and that as well as this general hotel signage that will project on the northeast corner of the building over the sidewalk off of the street there. I can take any questions, design or zoning wise, but the short version is it complies with all the requirements.
Thank you, Mr. Hintz. Alder Perez.
Is there a state statute that's there by it also?
Say that again?
Is there a state statute that's there by it also?
No, the statue I think is more in the middle part of the square.
This is editorial comment.
Oh,
It's statute,
statue. Oh, is it-
not a
is it
state
right?
statute.
May I ask a question?
Oh, sure. Just raise your hand.
I
I see you.
just want to confirm that this impact is this sign that is going to be overhanging over the property, and then this sign is directly for the building, correct?
That's on the sidewalks. That's the Monument Square side.
This is the Monument Square side, and then this would be the south
The
side.
sidewalk, yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Commissioner Rooney.
Yeah, just regarding state statute, so the item comes before Public Works and Services Committee, not to approve content of the sign, that's the job of city development and their design review, but it is to approve that request that's born in state statute, to have a privilege in the street right of way and having an encroachment that gets approved with a revocable permit, so. And there are stipulations that can get put on that permit, and if you need to order it removed ever, a time in the future to do something in the public right of way, or a utility company has to do something in the public right of way, then we order it removed and then we have them installed again. But that's why it comes before the committee, for those of you who haven't seen a revocable permit come before the committee.
Thank you, Commissioner Rooney. Alder Perez?
My comment was just, I understand everything that Mr. Rooney has said. I just wanted to make an editorial, statute is spelled wrong. That was my point. On there. That's,
Must say statute.
I thought I
it's a statute, not a statue. Because if I want a statue, I'd love my statue up there. Okay.
So for the one for the war heroes, it's out in Monument Square. It's the only statue out there.
Any further questions from committee members, staff members? If not, thank you, Ms. Vance.
Thank you.
I will entertain a motion.
Move to approve. I'll second.
Motion and second to approve item 0015-23. Seeing no further questions, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Our next item is 0024-23. Communication sponsored by Mayor Mason and the Racine Public Library requesting the city provide free parking on Thursdays from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. and Fridays from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. January 26th through April 6, 2023 in the Racine Public Library parking lot and 4 spaces meters on Lake Street, Lake Avenue, to allow the United Way of Racine County's Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program to provide free tax preparation service to city residents at the Racine Public Library. Staff recommendation is to approve. Fiscal note, there will be a loss of parking revenue estimated at $300. And we have to speak on this item. No, Mr. Prislock.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is, I think, the second in what's going to be an annual situation now at the library with the United Way providing tax services for City of Racine residents. This did come through last year. It's coming through this year again. And it comes from Mayor Mason and Vicki Selko over in Mayor Mason's office. So from a staff's perspective, yes, there is a small loss of revenue, but see no reason not to.
Okay,
I hope so. I think the seat's broken, but I'm okay.
you want to switch out?
I will in a moment.
Any questions from committee members? Alder Perez.
So, we talk about a tight budget and all this stuff now and with the ARPA money and $300 seems insignificant, but how are we gonna make that up? Because we've done this now several times with no money ever being made up anywhere.
We're not.
At the
The
request
common
of the
council
mayor.
has seen fit to approve these things in the past, and until the common council actually takes an action to retrieve this type of money, you can make it up during for instance, a party on the pavement when free parking is offered during that particular event. That actual, all those parking meters actually should be raised in terms of their rates. You can make it up during that time or any other event in which the common council votes for free parking. So there's plenty of events that go on in the city of Racine that the common council has seen fit to actually say, we're going to give you free parking. The latest one as an example was between November and December when they gave free parking every single Saturday for the shoppers. So there's ample opportunity to make it up. You just, it just has to be what the common council has an appetite to do.
Thank you. Any further questions from committee members? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
It is a motion by Alder Packrat, second by Alder Land to approve item 0024-23. Seeing no further questions. Seeing no further questions, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passes.
I would like to make a quick extensions and wait for time.
Okay. We have one extension. Thank you. for bringing that to our attention. Our next item is 0012-23. Communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of Department of Parks, Recreation, and Culture Services, submitting bid results for contract 2022233 Island Park Shelter toilet room upgrade. Staff recommendations that the contract Island Shelter toilet room upgrade be awarded to Roche Construction and Engineering, Inc. in the amount of $312,160, they being the lowest responsive bidder. Fiscal note funding is available in order object 450505700. And we have Mr. Novak to speak on this item.
Sure, thank you. Good evening. This project is at Island Park. It's at the shelter. And with all the upgrades that we've done to the park, we felt that the bathrooms needed to be upgraded and an additional 2 rooms were available. And with this project, not only will we be updating the bathrooms, we'll be updating available electricity that's available for the use of that pavilion as well. Right now, there is no use from the public electric from that building. They rent it. So that's an upgrade. We did do a mandatory pre-bid meeting. We did have a lot of individuals come, but only one general contractor, which is obviously noted on the paperwork, which is Ross. There's a lot of subcontractors that came in. Right now, the budget does allow through our building improvement CIP to fit the budget that was awarded through the bid. It's scheduled to be completed by June 30th. We will have to accommodate some of the activities that are going to be there prior to that completion date. I can answer any questions that you have.
Alder Perez.
So, Mr. Molbeck, I understand that these were the sole bidders that were accepted. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, Ross is the only one that was able to bid because they're the only ones that showed up to the pre-bid.
How does an upgrade to a bathroom and electrical cost $300,000, which is more than what would cost building a brand new house?
I'm not capable of answering that question, but we did have Ryan, Rudy French Architecture that did the design and specs. They confronted different electricians and plumbers and that to get prices that they needed for it. I can't explain the cost. There's a lot of increase in costs, different things. They had to rearrange some of the toilets that were in there because it was not handicap accessible anymore. This will allow for that. So that's about the best I can tell you why the cost is that much, but electricity, plumbing, and rearranging of the facility.
When you put out the original bid, what was the estimate that you guys had in mind?
The estimate cost actually came in higher than what the bid was awarded. So the estimate cost was $332,000. And on your paperwork, it came in probably about $20,000 less.
Okay.
Any further questions from committee members? Staff has any comments? Not, I will entertain a motion.
I'll second it.
It has been motioned by Alder Rand, second by Alder Sebastian, to approve item 0012-23. Seeing no further questions, comments, all those in favor? Aye. Oppose? Alder Perez opposes. Motion passes. The next item on our agenda is 0013-23. Communications sponsored by the chair on behalf of Department of Parks and Recreation and Cultural Services, submitting bid results for contract 2022234 Harley-Field locker room upgrade. Staff recommendation that the contract be awarded to Roche Construction and Engineering, Inc. in the amount of $232,785, they being the lowest responsive bidder. Fiscal funding is available in the following or object 45050 Again, we have Mr. Novak to speak on this item.
So again, this is an upgrade project. This will be improving the locker rooms, home and away, as well as the officials' locker room at Horlick Field. As you know, we've been doing a lot of improvements over at Horlick Field, and this is just one of the, I think, remaining ones. Maybe a few other things that we may have to do to tidy up some things, but this is one of the last remaining big ones. Again, just like Adams Park one, we had the pre-bid meeting back to back. So unfortunately, only one general contractor, which was Ross, made a bid on this. So again, this one fits in the budget that was mentioned. The completion date is set for June 30th. Again, we had to accommodate the teams that are in there, whether it's the Raiders, the high school teams, whatever you have it, we'll have to work with them to make accommodations for them. And that answers any questions that you might have.
Alderman Perez.
What was the estimate for this one?
The estimate cost was $167,500, and the bid award was $232,785. So it came in as a higher bid award than originally estimated.
If I may make a comment to Alder Perez's previous statement, because obviously we didn't know that this was the only general contractor that came to this. I did too find these numbers to be a little bit high, and because there was only one company that really came to the table with this, I would just like to be noted that obviously, regardless of approval, trying to make sure that we have multiple bidders in the future, I think would make us all feel a little bit more comfortable. I would just like to make that on
Right, and I would have to default to DPW because they get the bids out.
Yeah.
I can tell you that our contractor did call several general contractors and told them about this project, and well, I don't know why.
Okay.
Can't tell you why.
I can add something to that for the good of the group. For these two projects, there were two contractors. Now, we had a mandatory pre-bid meeting, which will constrict your number of bidders depending on who shows up. But we had two bidders, and this is the most overt discussion I've heard about this, say they specifically will not bid projects in the city of Racine because of the Racine Works program. So that's something to think about. That's something John and I are working with finance and administration on. We just met with Warren Holt about it. But there are several issues happening with that particular program that are in fact deterring people from bidding in the city. So, like I said, administratively, we're working on that, which is something this body ought to know, that there was another two potential bidders out there. And we have a program in place right now that is in fact deterring competition in the city of Racine.
Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. Alderman Perez.
I too had a similar discussion with Attorney Letton about the Racine Works program. And based on state statute and our ordinance, it's really difficult to get the 10 people that you need to work on a project. So I recommended, for example, what if you have 10 or even 25 people in the company that live in the city of Racine, but are not working on this particular project? And he said that that would be illegal. So it is very challenging to continue this program, even though I think it's a great idea. Because I did challenge that with Attorney Letton, because I know of several companies that want to work in the city, but they don't have employees that on projects that actually live in the city, but their company has a lot of employees that live in the city, but not in the particular projects. And so I said, well, this should be a solution for this. And he said, no, it would be illegal to do it under state law.
Thank you, Alderman Perez. Commissioner Rooney.
Yeah, just one other thing regarding mandatory pre-bids, so the committee is aware of that. They're not necessary. There are projects that either the architect or the engineer believe that it's very imperative to have a mandatory pre-bid. So those bidding on it can look at maybe some nuanced things they just maybe can't get out of the plan set documents or the engineering documents that we put online. It's all electronic bidding now. So they get all the documents, they all get the same documents, but sometimes there are things they want them to appear and fully satisfied, so they don't submit a bid that doesn't reflect the actual work that has to be done. Now, that's up to the discretion, like I said, the manager, administrative manager and their design team, if they think that's necessary. The one thing that mandatory pre-bids, do is provide that clarity to all bidders, but at the same time, it's a double-edged sword. If the contractor doesn't make it to it, it doesn't permit them to bid. So sometimes it works very well, and sometimes it does have its downside. So these things happen, and we do get it advertised out there. It runs through Quest. It's a software that is used for public works bidding by municipalities all across the state, all across the country. It's easily advertised. The documents are easily obtained and downloaded. So I don't think there's an issue at all like on the advertising part of it, why only one bidder submitted. Really, you have to take a hard look at mandatory pre-bid meetings and see if they're appropriate for the job or not. That, in this case, I don't doubt the architect engineer said, you really need to have them here for this reason or that. And then you get what you get. So
So I
that's just a
appreciate,
comment.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Sorry about that.
No, both comments that John made and also Ron made were great points. And to follow up with what John said, that was the case. Rudy Frank wanted, because of the nature of some of the plumbing work that was going to be done and some of the things that he thought was going to be some specialty that he thought was important for contractors to see before they bid on. That's why we made it mandatory. I mean, Ron actually said, hey, be careful with that. And we actually went with it. So that's something our architect asked us to do.
Thank you. Any further questions, comments? Thank you, Mr. Moore. I will entertain a motion.
I will move to approve. Second.
It's been motioned by Alder Sebastian, seconded by Alder Lynn, to approve item 0013-23. Seeing no further questions, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Alder Perez opposes.
Thank you.
The motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Mobeck. Next item on our agenda is 0011-23. Communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of the city engineer submitting change order number 1 to contract 2022028-2022 accessible streets and alleys. Lalonde Contractor Inc. Contractor. Staff recommendation that the change order to contract accessible streets and alleys, Lalonde Contractors Inc. be approved in the amount of $16,507. Fiscal note, funding for this change order is available in order object 40104-57500 concrete street paving accessibles. Mr. Mulligan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Like you stated, we are submitting change order number 1 to the 2022 accessible streets and alleys, which is project number 2022-028, in the amount of $16,507.00. Excuse me. The original contract was approved in the amount of $1,774,538.43 under resolution 020322 of April 18th of 2022. This change order brings the contract total to $1,791,507.43. This was basically a little change in type of curb and gutter that they use on one street. And it also was just minor quantity changes here and there. If the committee so so desires, we recommend approval of this change order.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion.
I would like to move to approve. Second.
Motion by Alder Sebastian, second by Alder Lynn, to approve item 0011-23. Seeing no further discussion, comments, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. Our next item is 0014-23. Communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of Angela Zimmerman, Executive Director, Racine Public Library, submitting change order number 2 to contract 2022036, Racine Public Library interior renovations, Rush Construction and Engineering Inc. contractor. Staff recommendation that the change order be approved in the amount of $46,424.71. Physical note funding for this change order is available in Art Objects 2071057-200 building improvements. And we have Mrs. Zimmerman, our library director, here to speak on this item.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I can certainly answer any questions on the change order. This is approved funding by the library board. It's coming all from private funding. These were recent changes made to the renovation, mostly around the stairwell, cabling, etc. And then the extension is through February 28th now. We kind of wanted to cushion that because we do have issues, of course, with supply chain issues. So most of the stuff is now coming beginning in February to complete the entire project. But I can certainly answer any questions that is listed in the change order. Again, it comes from private funding from the library, not from the private users. Just kidding. That's good.
Very good. Any questions from committee members? Saying none, I would entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Alder Perez, second by Alder Packard, to approve item 0014-23. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. Thank you, Mrs. Zimmerman. The next item is 0004-23. Communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of the city engineer, submitting change order number 2 to contract 2021096 2021 CIPP lining issue sewer contractor. Staff recommendation that the change order be approved in the deduct amount of $106,734.78. Fiscal note funding for this change order is available in the following Art Objects: sanitary sewer, storm sewer, wastewater. Mr. Molitor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As stated, a lot of numbers to take them, try to make it quick. This is basically a major, a substantial deduct, but the change order number, and it is a rectifying change order. The change order number 1 was a increase of $119,986.00. So it was kind of a flip-flop of quantity, and we took care of the deduct on this rectifying change order when we came to terms and agreed upon quantity. Other than that, this is like I said, it's a rectifying change order, so this is a closeout change order. This is the last of the changes for this project. We recommend approving if the committee so desires.
Thank you. Questions from committee members? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Okay.
Motion by Alder Perez, second by Alder Lynn, to approve item 0004-23. Seeing no further questions, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. The next item is 0005-23. Communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of the Department of Public Works, submitting final payment a contract 2021096 2021 visual sewer contractor. Staff recommendations that the work completed by Visual Sewer be accepted and final payment authorized for total contract of $885,490.50. Final payment to include retainage. Physical note, contract 2021096 was authorized on the resolution 0992-21 on January 18th, 2022. Mr. Molitor.
This is the exact same project we were talking about before with the rectifying change order. What's not on the initial statement basically was the funds were allocated out of our 22-640-57560, which is sanitary sewer, and 604-84-57570, which is our storm sewer. And then we also had the wastewater utility was 401-01-57560. This is same project as the rectifying change order. This is just the final payment. And they had, they were passed through their Racine Works program requirements. So everything is in order.
Thank you. Any questions from committee members? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Motion by Alder Perez, second by Alder Perez, to approve item 0005-23. Seeing no further questions, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Our next item is 006-23. Communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of the city engineer submitting change order number 3 to contract 2021006-2021 accessible streets and alleys, A.W. Oaks and Son Inc. contractor. Staff recommendation that the change order be approved in the amount of $43,580.59. Fiscal note, funding for this change order is available in the following art object 45040-57500 country, street, alley, paving, miscellaneous locations. Mr. Molitor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is the 2021 accessible streets and alleys. We're finally got to a point where we can close this out. We had several delays because of unforeseen incidents that happened on this project. It's multiple sites. And this is the change order that basically just rectifies all our final quantities, either up or down. We recommend approving and closing this project out so we can assess the abutting property owners.
Thank you. Any questions from committee members? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion.
Go ahead. I'll move to approve.
Second.
It's been motion by Alder, Sebastian. Second by Alder Lamb to approve item 006-23. Seeing no further questions, comments, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Our next item is 008-23. Communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of the Department of Public Works, submitting final payment for contract 2021006-2021 accessible streets and alleys, A.W. Oaks and Son contractor. The work was completed by A.W. Oaks and Son on contract 2021006-2021 accessible streets and alleys be accepted and final payment authorized for total contract of $25,214.54. Final payment to include retainage. Physical note, contract 2021006 was authorized on the resolution 0317-21 on May 4th of 2021. Mr. Mullender.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Once again, this is the final payment for the change order we just approved. Basically, I mean, all the funding, the orgs and ops are listed in the memo. This is closing the project out. They did clear their machine works program. We recommend approval.
Alder Perez.
What were the liquidated damages for?
The liquidated damages, they did go over in time, and on either, we have two separate liquidated damages type. We have a overall project liquidated damages. So when they, did extend their project a couple times, obviously, because it's a 2021 project. And then we also have a localized site because the accessible project lends itself to multiple sites. I think there was 5 streets and 3 alleys on this project. I get my years mixed up and how many there were, but if they go over a certain amount of days at a certain location, we also hit them for a nominal liquidated damages for that site. So and then it comes down to kind of a negotiation at the end, because sometimes they complain about whether it's kind of a set in stone type of thing, but they might have to wait on something because of a utility was doing work or something, or so it kind of, we negotiate and usually down, obviously. But that's where the liquidated damages come.
Any further questions from committee members? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Alder Perez, second by Alder Sebastian to approve item 008-23. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Our next item is 009-23. Communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of the city engineer, submitting change order number 1 to contract 2022010 Lucene and 9th Street reconstruction, Milwaukee General Construction Company contractor. Staff recommendation that change order number 1, the Milwaukee Construction contractors be approved in the deduct amount of $7,169.89. Fiscal note funding for this change order is credited in the following: DPW paving and storm sewers. Mr. Mullender.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Once again, this is the project right by the DPW campus. Took care of a part of 9th Street and Racine Street from 10th to 6th. Actually, the construction went rather well. There was a little reduction in quantity. That's hence we got the $7,000 deduct, and this is a rectifying change order. This is the final and only change order for this project. We recommend approval.
Any questions? Yeah, I mean, committee members. Seeing none, I will entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Motion by Alder Perez, second by Alder Prefferat to approve item 009-23. Seeing no further discussion, questions, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. Our next item is 0010-23. Communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of the Department of Public Works, submitting final payment for contract 2022010 Racine and 9th Street reconstruction, Milwaukee General Contractor Company contractor, construction company contractor. Staff recommendation that the work completed by Milwaukee General Construction Company be accepted and final payment authorized for a total contract amount of $652,753.96. Final payment to include retainage. Fiscal note, contract 2022010 was authorized under resolution number 0144-22 on March 15th, 2022. Mr. Mullinger.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Once again, this is the final payment for the rectifying change order that was just approved. This was, the final payment is actually less than the original contract amount. All that money is coming out of 45040 575 DPW paving, 60484 57570, which is storm sewers, 22640 57560, which is sanitary sewers. We recommend approval.
Any questions from committee members? Excuse me. Seeing none, I will entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
I will second.
Motion by Alder Perez, second by Alder Sebastian to approve item 001023. Seeing no further questions, comments, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. Our next item is 0002-23. Communication sponsored by Alder Taft and Alder Jones on behalf of the Commission of Public Works, submitting the following alleys to be included in the 2023 public hearing for 2024 construction. Staff recommendation that the following alleys bounded by 16th Street and 17th Street and West Boulevard and Dean Boulevard, 16th Street and 17th Street and Dean Boulevard and Quincy Avenue, as submitted by the Commission of Public Works, be considered for reconstruction with Portland cement concrete paving for the 2024 construction season, 2023 public hearing, and that a preliminary resolution be introduced. Physical note, this is an accessible alley project and therefore all costs will be paid by the abutting property owner. Mr. Mullinger.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is step one in getting alleys approved through the public hearing process, and because they have to be assessed. These alleys are basically added to the list. We now have 8 alleys in total that will be going through public hearing, but these 2 were brought to my attention by Alder Taft, and like I said, this is step one. We recommend that we approve the preliminary resolution.
Alder Perez.
Why is the resolution only cement?
For alleys, that is the only option is concrete reconstruct. The only asphalt is your other thought process. Asphalt is not a permanent pavement, deemed by a common council, so we only reconstruct alleys and concrete streets. A little different. They do have an option for asphalt, but that just means that they got to pay for it again the next time it comes around. So,
And
Go ahead.
so in that payment, how does that work? They have the 10 years at the percentage, or?
there's multiple options to pay off their assessment. That doesn't come until after, we're trying to get to public hearing and approval through public hearing, construct next year. And then they will get their bill and they'll have multiple options of, they can pay it outright, they can pay it in several payments, or they can have it attached to their property taxes. I believe that's all 3, isn't it?
No, they can pay it in full, otherwise, it is spread out over their tax bill over a 10-year period. And I believe the percentage rate for the interest is 6% is set by common council. I think that goes through finance and personnel committee. So they have the option to pay it in full or pay it over 10 installments with interest charge. And those are like little miniature loans administered by the finance department, if you will. So.
Okay, any further questions? From the committee members? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Motion by Alder Perez, second by Alder Packrat, to approve item 0002-23. Seeing no further questions, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. Our final item for this evening is 003-23. Communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of the Department of Public Works, requesting a preliminary resolution for paving of following streets: McCoven Avenue from Holborn Street to Clark Street, Elsa Drive from city limits to Oshtegard Avenue, Foxwood Road from city limits to Walden Way, Foxwood Road from Walden Way to city limits, Jonathan Drive from the cul-de-sac to North Main Street, West cul-de-sac, Kentucky Street from Taylor Avenue to the cul-de-sac, 17th Street from Indiana Street to Kentucky Street, Sheffield Drive from North Fade Drive to Lighthouse Drive, West Lawn Avenue from Republic Avenue to Victoria Avenue. Some coordination with the Village of Mount Pleasant will be required. Staff recommendation that a preliminary resolution be introduced for the paving of streets listed above. Physical note, these are accessible city projects. All costs will be paid by the city property owners. City staff will coordinate with the Village of Mount Pleasant for payment of their prorated share of the construction work on Elissa Drive. Mr. Mullinger.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a clarification, the only coordination with the Village of Mount Pleasant is Elisa Drive. Basically, our road ends mid-block, and it's our standard cross-section road, and then it used to be a dead end at that point, but Mount Pleasant connected it, and they kind of have their own road going on being in their village. That's just the clarification. Other than that, streets are a little different than alleys, where streets, we work with the engineering department, DPW works with our consultant, AECom, and we have a pavement rating system that we bring these streets forward once they drop below a certain PCI rating. And if they don't get approved the first time, they don't get touched for 5 years, and then they get brought forward again every 5 years. And every one of these roads is in that situation where these were all not approved for reconstruction 5 years ago. So here they are again. We recommend that this preliminary resolution be approved, and we start the public hearing process on these 9 streets.
Thank you, Mr. Mullinger. Alderman Lynn.
At what is the rate it has to be before they don't have the ability to turn it down? I'm sure there's a rating where it gets so low where it has to be paved. I'd say they turn this down and then 5 years later, come back and turn it down. Isn't there a rating on the pavement that?
Well, the rating system goes basically from 0 to 100, 100 being brand spanking new, 0 being failed. The rating that the threshold that we use is a 40. Yeah. Once it drops below 40, then it gets onto this list. And 40 is, I mean, it's still a drivable surface. It's basically your asphalt is kind of alligator cracked, but it's still, still plowable. It's still maintainable. You can drive on it without too much hazard. It's when it starts getting into the 20s and the teens, it's when it's really, there's potholes that have formed, and that's when it really starts to get bad. But like I said, or with the alleys, or when Alder Perez asked the question, asphalt is not a permanent pavement. So that's why these 9 roads have brought up for assessment.
Yeah, just to add on to that. So once they fall below 40 PCI, that's when we've been directed by common council, has been going on for decades, to bring them forward to public hearing. As Eric said, once you bring them forward to public hearing, if they get turned down by the common council, we can't bring them back for a minimum period of 5 years. These are all back. To answer your question specifically, what PCI, what pavement rating do they reach when they have to get paved? That is determined by this committee and the common council. I've seen streets been turned down 5, 10, 15 years, nearly reduced to gravel before, the common council is finally elected to approve that. So there is no number that you have to get to. When it comes to 40, the reason we bring it here is because if you look at the life of a pavement on our pavement performance curves, anything below 40 is starting to fail very, very rapidly at that point. When you look at that asset condition over time. So we can extend the life of that asset with crack filling and joint replacement and other techniques. And we can keep that pavement going until it hits 40. Then we're really not putting any more resources into that street from an operation standpoint. We're just not, it's throwing good money after bad. And then it will deteriorate rather quickly, that asset. Well, it's just asset management, performance curve for any type of asset. So there is no magic number. It's when the common council wants to get it approved. So we always welcome you to drive these streets, when we're ready to get the public hearing. We'll also bring some photographs of them for you if you haven't had a chance to go out there and take a look at them. So you'll be able to see for yourself when we do hold the public hearings, what the condition of the street is. We'll offer some photos of what we're talking about out there. And in your mind, maybe you can visualize the condition of the street with an associated pavement condition index number. Like Eric said, under 40, they're still drivable, but they're on their way to complete failure pretty quickly.
Thank you.
Does that answer your question, Alderman?
I do have another one.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
If they get assessed to have concrete, then they no longer have, they'll pay that one time and then the city will be responsible for it.
That is correct. So
Okay.
the way the assessment program works in the city of Racine relates to roadways and curb and gutter. Once curb and gutter is installed, its replacement is borne by the city. Actually, it gets paid for out of the stormwater utility for curb and gutter because it's a conveyance system for runoff. And the pavement itself, if it's built out of Portland cement concrete pavement, which has been deemed a permanent pavement by the common council, along with brick, then the property no longer has to pay for the replacement of that pavement when it reaches its useful life. The city will pay for it. If the project is approved in hot mix asphalt, which is a flexible, technically a temporary pavement, when it fails, it'll go back for a public hearing again. So they'll pay for it to get paid in asphalt, and they'll pay for it again someday if they're just off that residence when that time comes. So.
Thank you.
Alderman Reyes.
I have three things. Is the lifespan tentatively 40 years once the cement goes in? Is that still true?
I think the lifespan of concrete is much longer than it is for HMA. You look at some of these dates that we'll bring forward at public hearing. We'll go through it. We'll tell you the date of the last time the pavement was installed, and you'll see how old it is. Well, some of these are way beyond their useful life. So you say, wow, that pavement's been there for 35, 40 years. Well, probably should have been replaced, 5 or 10 years earlier. Ideally, we should get out of our local residential street. Hopefully we'll get 30 years out of a hot mix bituminous pavement. Concrete, pavements should last 50 to 70 years on local streets. There's low ADT,
sometimes.
there's low, and there's low percentage of truck volume traffic on local streets as well. Those are the two things that break pavement up. It's ADT, it's traffic volume. And then it's the type of traffic, it's percentage of truck traffic. So that's what deteriorates pavements. So local streets can last fairly long.
What's the tentative date for the public hearing for this?
We haven't
I
set that yet,
did,
but
oh, wait a minute, I think I have it in this email.
we need two
We're
areas.
gonna do two, public hearing for the streets, we're gonna break them up into streets and alleys. Public hearing for the streets is April 25th. And then the public hearing for the alleys would be the following meeting after that, May 9th.
And we're required to complete the public hearing process and get it set to common council for final approval prior to July 1st. That is another resolution passed by common council. And the reason we do that, and we need to have that done, is so we know how much money to put in the budget, in the next month or two to get it submitted for review. That's, money has to be appropriated for the work in the following year.
Go ahead. Alderman.
So, being that we have new districts, several of these are in my district. But would it be possible moving forward, anytime we do this, that you put in parentheses what district it's in? Because a lot of these, I know I go to 20, sometimes 19, sometimes 17th Street, and it depends on how it moves on those streets. So, for example, 17th Street on Kentucky, Indiana to Kentucky Street, I think is mine, but I'm not sure. So if you could put in parentheses what district it's in, I mean, I think that'd be very helpful for us.
Preliminary resolution.
Is that on the background of your phone, Henry? Come on.
When we introduce a preliminary resolution, Alder Perez, we could definitely do that in the
Yeah.
future. I guarantee you, and I know we've done it in the past, we'll continue to, we always list what aldermanic district, the item is at public hearing. It's on the screen, it's for everybody. So when we do the public hearing, we'll
Yeah,
say,
you can do this for us at this
we
point.
can do it at the preliminary.
Yeah, we can do
It's a
that.
very good suggestion.
Yeah, of
I got it.
course, it won't happen until then. You know.
Yeah, well, that's
Until we
fine.
start getting alleys into
Commissioner
next
Rooney,
year.
I have one
I get that, but you
question.
know.
Your homeowner is on a corner.
Yes.
Are they responsible? Because I've heard two different versions now. The street in front of the house and the street on the side, do they actually have to pay for both?
They do, but they don't have to pay in full. So this is, again, these are approved by common council. So if you are a person who lives on the corner of a block and you happen to live on a corner with two streets that are potentially accessible, what happens is on the short side of your lot, so you may live in a lot, I'm gonna make something up. You live in a lot that's 40 feet wide and 80 feet long, or 100 feet long. let's say.
120 usually is the standard lot.
So
But yeah.
you pay the full assessment for the short side of your block when that street gets done. So you pay 40 feet of assessment. And when you get assessed for the long side of your lot, that is a maximum at 60%.
Yes,
So you'll only pay for 60 feet of frontage if you have 100 feet. That's something that the common council approved a long time ago to maybe show some type of mercy on those that dare live on corner lots.
just FYI, we have several calculations like that for a lot of different situations, so
Thank you very
I
much.
shouldn't say a lot, there's a few situations out there that are unique, that we have.
And I can send those to you if you'd like. I can send you all the different rules. There's even things for those corner lots on alleys as well. So, yeah, so there's consideration for a lot of things, give you an idea how we assess. So I could send those to you. Those have been on the books for many, many years.
That would be appreciated. Thank you. I think all the committee members.
I'll email that out to you.
Thank you. Any further questions on
The assessment
item
policy.
003-23?
I have just a general question. Are these the streets and the alleys that are going to be assessed then? Or at least on the potential for,
These are the ones that are going to public hearing this year.
okay,
So they won't, and then it gets approved through public hearing. There's usually a couple that don't get approved.
right,
And then they'll be constructed next year. So the ones that were approved in 2022 through public hearing are going to be constructed this year.
right. But so this is the list. It's not like.
Yes, this is the list.
partial and the-
Or
Okay,
anything I get from this point on, it usually comes from you guys from alleys. Those will be 2024 public hearing, 2025 construction.
Yeah, and see, and the issue at hand, Alder is, yeah, we generally get our list to our pavement management consultant. Okay, these are the streets that maybe falling below 40 PSI. These are the streets that, haven't been heard in the last 5 years. So we'll get that list and we'll compile that. We generally get that list in right about now, and we'll collect any alleys up to this point in time too, because it's not as simple as just approving a preliminary resolution and then we go out and hold a public hearing. By state statute, now that these have been approved, then we have to get to work on something that's called a commissioner's report. And that commissioner's report is going to be a listing of every property owner on these projects by front footage, the damages or the assessment that's going to be levied against them, any credits that they may receive on that lot as well. All that has to be configured, all that has to be put up, then that has to be sent to them via certified mail that they receive that, and they have to give them due time to receive that and also be noticed of the public hearing. So, they don't get blindsided. There's time for them to digest it. So we need to do that. That's why we kind of finish up the preliminary resolution process January-ish. So we can start working on those things and hold the public hearings in April, because the public hearings, not only do you have to hold a public hearing, and we have to wait another 2 weeks for the same body, Public Works Services, to approve or delete the streets from that public hearing, because the property owners have 10 days within the public hearing date to still voice their opinion, whether they're for or against the project. They don't need to show up here and be present to speak. They have a 10-day window. So we have to, so then, it has to come back to you guys again for 2 weeks, and then it has to go to Common Council. So all that stuff we're trying to achieve and get done before July 1st. And then the Common Council in the last few years recently has taken a couple dates off, because of summer holiday and stuff like that. So we're trying to manage that, get it in the legislative process, however we have to, so we get it completed by the end of June. So, yeah, we get some alley requests in, say, in March. It's gonna have to wait until a hearing in spring of next year. Yeah.
The alleys that are already on the list for repairs, like there's some in my district where people have made comments about the alley needs, pothole, holes filled and things like that. That's on your radar then already, in terms of deciding whether or not it is at the level that it needs to be on the list to be.
We don't place alleys on the list for public hearing. The alders bring alleys to public hearing. We don't determine when the alleys come before this body for a preliminary resolution for public hearing. Those come from the alders of the district. We only bring forward the roadways. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So the first step with you, speak with a resident, whatever, and they want it, they would consider, it would be your call to me. I would do a preliminary resolution, like the item prior to this one. And that's how it starts
For replacement.
for replacement.
Okay.
And just like we explained, when streets fall below 40 rating on the pavement condition index, we're not putting any resources into it. We're not going out there and doing anything. DPW won't be down those streets.
Okay.
The object of pavement management is trying to preserve pavements at a higher PCI, extend the life of those pavements. So that same philosophy goes on with alleys. If the alleys are so far gone, we're not going to those either.
Right.
And to be very candid with the members of the committee here, we are woefully understaffed. We do have resources available, equipment, materials, and labor. We're going to be putting them on the streets to take care of the roadways. If we have resources, then we'll fall back to take care of the alleys, and then we'll only be taking care of those alleys, that really have like kind of an emergency situation, more or less. Like it's going to be a potential safety hazard. Somebody's going to break their ankle, and some kid on his bike is going to wipe out. We aren't just going back and doing. You won't see us crack filling an alley. You won't see us putting,
Overlays or.
cold patches
So the
or
only way
joint
those
sealing.
alleys then get on the list is by us bringing them to
That is
you
correct.
for
And
repair.
currently, yes.
For replacement, to
Yeah.
repair if it's bad enough that somebody's gonna get hurt. If we call you and say, hey, this is really bad, when you have the resources, you will tend to that.
Yeah.
But then just knowing that they're bad is not enough to get them on the list. I need to make that call to say, put this on the list.
We've even had alleys that quite frankly have fallen in such disrepair. We have told you all over the district, we're no longer picking up
And
refuse.
but
We're-
you'll communicate that.
Yes, we will. We'll say, send letters to all your constituents on that particular block. You're gonna have to bring your waste curbside. We are having the tippers, the hydraulics ripped off the refuse trucks because of the condition of the alleys. We won't sweep those alleys any longer. We're causing damage to those sweepers. So if that's the case. One thing, the alders may want to consider at some point in time is allowing us to create some policy that you want to codify that we can ourselves as staff bring these alleys forward for public hearing, and we have rated all the alleys. Common Council has appropriated funds, I believe it was 2 or 3 years ago, to have all the alleys inspected. We have pavement ratings on those. We use Kaiser rating on the alleys. It's a more of a rudimentary 0 to 10 rating as opposed to a more complex rating of the roads.
0 to 5.
We've rated all the alleys. We know the condition of every one of them. We know the replacement value of the alleys. You have $18 million in replacement value out there for your alleys right now. You know, we know the average score of the alleys, we know the condition of them, you know, and we can very easily look at that and come up with, you know, an administrative way to bring alleys forward every year like we do streets. But that's not how the system works right now. That's something maybe your fellow alders will want to talk about and give us some direction on. We'd be glad to talk with you offline too about some of those things.
Yeah, it seems, I mean, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah,
It seems a little, like you guys know what's a mess out there. We only hear it
yeah, it's,
when we have people who are calling us. That doesn't even necessarily.
when you think about it, it's kind of odd. It's not an asset really that the city of Racine maintains when you or is responsible for capital replacement on. It's the property owners, you know, it's there for their benefit. So it's really not something that we generally program for capital improvement. And again, there's little maintenance done in the alleys, like I say, except for emergency maintenance, if you will. So, but there's another way to do things, always is. We're glad to talk about it more if you'd like.
Appreciate that.
Thank you. Further questions? I just have one question, Mr. Rooney.
Yeah.
Is it too late now to turn in the alley?
To be on this year's public hearing, I'm assuming,
I
yes.
thought you said January. Is it just
Well-
the beginning of January or?
Do we have another meeting?
Yeah, the 31st, the last day.
Okay.
We will let you know right away. We'll have to see how, if we
Yeah.
can, because, you know, the commissioners report, we have to do the accessible analysis and drawings. We have to put all the drawings together, go to the assessor's office, make sure there hasn't been any splits or joiners. There's a lot of work that's done to put the commissioners report together. So we'll talk internally and we'll let you know. Ron, myself, or Earl will say, yeah, we can get one more in on the 31st. But yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any further questions from committee members? If not, I would entertain a motion for 0003-23.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Alder Sebastian, second by Alder Lamb to approve item 0003-23. Seeing no further questions, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Thank you, everyone. We are adjourned.
Couple questions off the record.
All
This
right.
Racine work study, how do I get a copy? of
That's,
it?
it gets, you know, I don't want somebody else to leave it like that.
I know, I know.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
I'll let
Joel
you
know.
go right online, the City of Racine website, and go to municipal code, and you can just, they have a search thing, you can just put it in the Racine list and
Okay,
I don't know what chapter it is, but it's in there.
okay, perfect. And
Everything is in there. Yeah.
then my other second question, so every change order, we have to approve for you guys? Yeah. Doesn't that seem kind of taxing for everyone?
It is taxing, but we're changing the terms of the contract, so we're required to do that for state statute, so. You know, we award a contract value, if we change the value of that contract, we have to change it.
We can't just do a discretionary number where you guys don't, I mean, wouldn't it be easier for you guys if it? No?
Well, it's also very transparent too,
Okay.
you know, we're not trying to sweep anything under the
No,
rug. We
I
got a
get
change
that.
order that goes over, we want everyone to know about it. and-
I just have to deal with general contractors all the time,
Yeah.
and it's like every change order, I was like, well, clearly it had to be a change order, so what am I gonna do? Say, no, you guys know it's up.
I mean, we,
So it's just wondering.
there is, we don't have to wait for a